the office of the state fire marshal, and he's an active fire captain. And he is assigned to the Division of Planning and Risk Analysis. And there is a division within that department, and he is our area Firewise liaison. So he understands the process. He helps neighborhoods and applicants with the process. And so we wanted to have him kind of highlight the start to finish, and then be able to answer questions about the Firewise certification process. Because if you are thinking about becoming a Firewise certified neighborhood, you likely will be working with Anthony. So Anthony, if you're there, if you want to just go ahead and start, and we'll wait for David. Hopefully he'll be able to log on as well.
Yeah, perfect. I'll just leave Dave's part for Dave and continue on with my part. Dave's going to give a little bit more of a background and an NFPA perspective. And I just want to kind of talk to you direct, like I would talk to any community who's reaching out to me, looking at becoming Firewise. And I purposely didn't prepare a presentation with slides and things like that, because I really want this process to be kind of natural, how you would go about the process on your own. And I'm just going to facilitate helping you find that kind of information here today, if that sounds appropriate. I know the process can get a little confusing and convoluted, and I know California has some specific things that we kind of look for and kind of expect. And so we'll go over that. And I am new to this process, but I am learning very quickly, and excited to work with all of you and appreciate your time and all of your efforts in becoming Firewise. So if I can share my screen, I will figure that out right now. All right, do you guys see my screen?
Yeah, it looks great.
And it's just a Google home screen right now. So just naturally, we're going to start from the beginning of where do I go and how do I navigate the different specific requirements. So the first place I'd like to show you is just our CalFire website. A lot of times when we're speaking to communities, we direct them right to the CalFire website, as it has. And the nice thing about the CalFire website is it has a little bit more information about the specific California requirements in the NFPA Firewise process. All right, so here we are on the CalFire website, and right smack dab in the middle of the page is this Plan No Act and the link to Ready for Wildfire, and that's where I would direct folks to go to find all of your Firewise related information. So just on this page alone, you're already starting to get bombarded with some really good information about planning and knowing and acting in defensible space and home hardening, which is all really good information. A lot of this information is also on the NFPA website, but really just great links and great resources, a perfect app to download to have it right at your fingertips. I really suggest kind of working your way through some of these links right on this page. But to get to specific Firewise stuff, we're going to go to the Prepare tab and then Firewise Communities. And then here is just a bunch of information and the process to becoming Firewise. It's very similar to the NFPA website, but again, a little bit more specific information to California. And we're just going to work through the process. So step number one is the organize process. So in this little paragraph, we're discussing how the first step is really to form a board or a committee within your community. And then within that board or committee, we want to establish a resident leader who's going to be basically the primary contact. And what's also important in the organized phase is the boundary for your community is between 8 and 25 dwelling units. And something that California likes to see a little bit more is that this community is somehow defined. We like to use things like an HOA or a subdivision or an evacuation zone, something specific, a specific set of streets or something that just makes a little bit more sense, so that we're providing that kind of boundary, and then your whole goals and your whole actions are associated with those residents within that boundary. So all the outreach that you're doing are within that boundary, if that makes sense. And then we're going to move down to planning, and the key kind of factors here are to establish a relationship with your local cooperators, and that's things that we could assist in doing. The first step in one of the checklists that I provide is to contact your local liaison, which is me. So you can go onto the NFPA website, and there's contact links, and it'll direct you right to who your local liaison is, and you'll be able to contact me directly. And I provide you with a set of documents that kind of help you navigate the process, which is super helpful. Checklists and just really things that we've decided that help communities through this process a little bit easier. And then connecting with your local, since we're kind of like, the 1,000-foot level, at my level, we like to help connect you with fire folks in your communities who will actually be, boots on the ground, assisting with, risk assessments and helping provide priorities for your community in your action plans and things like that. And here's the link to the liaison contacts, and we'll go ahead and just check that out. So all of these resources are right on the CalFire website and accessible to anyone. So it's kind of broken up into the north and the south, and then here are the leaders and their email and contact information. Another really important fact or kind of thing that we notice is people miss using this template. And here is the Firewise USA template. It's all right there for you. And it just kind of walks you through this risk assessment from start to finish, which is super helpful. And then the most important step for this whole process is to make sure that when you're completing this risk assessment, that you have the appropriate people on the day of the event. We recently participated in one in Downeyville. We had several fire officials, fire safe councils, the sheriff, people that are, prominent in the community, and then also the committee, the Firewise committee. And we took a cruise around the neighborhood and basically looked at all of these things. And we'll just quickly kind of cruise down this template, and we'll identify a few things. But again, it takes you through the whole process: organize, plan, do, tell. And we're just working through the process. We're focusing our efforts on, vulnerability of homes and ember, surface fire and crown fire. And it's really trying to focus our eyes and our minds to what makes the most sense when we're looking at our communities, identifying the participants, a little bit about the site. And then we're gonna provide a little bit of information about the description of the properties. We're cruising down the list, and as you're going around the community, you're making notes and kind of just focusing on things like roof materials and vents and siding, and these are things you're going to prepare for before your excursion, and make sure you're looking at the right things. So we don't have to go all the way through this, but I just wanted everybody to kind of see, pretty much how simple the risk assessment can be. But that the fact is, just having the right people in place that kind of know what they're looking at and looking for is important in this step. All right, and then once that's completed, that kind of helps you determine, where some needs are in the community. And then your 3-year action plan can kind of reflect those needs. And what's nice about this, just going back to the risk assessment really quick, there's a great tutorial video that really helps explain, how to go about your risk assessment. And then this has just recently been updated on our website, but we found that offering a template is a really awesome idea and helps communities just really focus their efforts and organize. And it also just helps us on our end too, to just be able to review things easily. But as you can see here, it gives some basic background information on how to complete it, some great resource links, and then helps establish a format to use. So this is available on the CalFire website specifically, and should be on the NFPA website sooner than later. But it just breaks things down in an appropriate fashion so that we can make sure that the action items are they're measurable. You know, it kind of helps you like look at your action plan, decide what needs to be taken care of, and then you can complete them in the time frames that are identified. Home hardening, fuel reduction, education, planning, and wildfire preparedness. And so yeah, super great tool. And each community is going to be a little bit different, and that's why we're providing that for you. Let's see. And then we're going to go down to step number 3 is the do. And some things I want to point out in this section are we want to make sure that one community outreach event is taking place. And then 1 hour per dwelling unit is the minimum requirement. So if you had 100 homes, it would be 100 hours. And then that hourly rate is based on the independent sector value of volunteer time. And then we could go ahead and check out the NFPA website, which tells you that. How do I get to? So I kind of showed you the CalFire method of getting through the process. And then I wanted to just go over briefly the NFPA website. So I just always go to Google and I'm going to search NFPA and not taking any shortcuts just so we can get through the process together. So this is the main NFPA website, and we want to go hover over public education, and then we're going to select wildfire. And then over here on the sidebar is wildfire again with the little plus, and we're going to expand that and go to the Firewise USA. And then it goes over preparing your home, and most of the information to get through the process of becoming recognized is in this Get Started tab. So very similar to the CalFire website, a lot of the same examples and forms to be used, maybe less California specific, but it gets you through the process as well. And then the last thing is creating a log on to the portal. And that's a link on both the CalFire and the NFPA website. And it's fairly easy. And then well, I'm logged on here, but let's see if I can log out. And it just looks like this, and you'll create an account. And then it just is a simple information, entering in, uploading the required documents and hitting submit. And that's really down and dirty, the kind of the process of where to find the information, what templates to use, and then how to kind of navigate both websites, if that makes sense. Let me just double check, see if I have anything else. Oh, the other thing that I kind of discussed a little bit was the map, and I had a little bit of an example of one, which is from Quincy, and this is a very nice map. And we don't expect maps to be this nice, but I just wanted to provide an example of what a map could look like. As something as simple as going onto Google Earth and drawing a line that's of a variant color is probably sufficient for us, but this is a very well done map, and I wanted to provide an example for you. I can also provide, just wanted to show you really quick, another example from Quincy They've done a very good job of organizing their information, and we can provide this document for any community that's looking for a little direction, but very well done. And it might help provide you with some good ideas about what to put in some of these sections. And so when different communities reach out to me, we have a certain set of documents that we're kind of providing for them, and this is one we like to kind of give to help give a little guidance. Let me just double check. I think that's about all I have so far, but I'm here and willing to answer any questions or help folks if needed.
Yeah, I have some questions. So Anthony, in your experience, and I know you're kind of new to this, but I know Fire Marshal Bullard can probably help chime in. What is the average timeline that a neighborhood, from start to finish, kind of the average? I mean, these are all volunteers, so things move, a little slower. But what would you estimate?
I guess, in my time, I haven't seen a Firewise community from start to finish quite yet. I think maybe the first one I dealt with, I was able to see them kind of midway through their process, but it doesn't seem like it could take a ton of time if they're well organized, they have that board established, and they have the right folks to help them. I think that's kind of the biggest part that kind of holds some folks up. It's just having those contacts to outreach to, and make sure that you can all plan a day in an event, get organized, and then kind of separate the tasks that need to be completed.
Okay, and it used to be that there was a financial component that like each house or each property in the area being certified needed to contribute, or somehow there was a dollar match. Now it looks like it's been converted to the volunteer, so you track the volunteer time, and then that there's an hourly rate.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the basic. So if you had 100 homes in your community, it would be 1 hour per home, so 100 hours. And then something I didn't get to show was where to find that equivalent volunteer base value, but it's based on the independent sector value of volunteer time is where we kind of get that number value, and that's where you input those values into the system in your portal when the actions are completed.
Right. Now, what if you get some property owners who don't want to participate? How does that affect?
Property owners don't have to participate. It's completely voluntary. It's this is designed to start somewhere and provide outreach to those individuals. And 1 hour of per dwelling unit is easily done. It's a lot of the time is actually in your community events or your outreach. So it's happening pretty easily, and so other individuals can help make up for those hours as well.
Okay, we have a hand raised. Let's see, Rusty Day. Did you have a question, Rusty?
I do. Thank you, Denise, and thank you very much, Anthony. Just looking at the materials that you went through and the scale of the presentation that you gave, it seems to me that the materials are largely focused on prevention, on what a community can do to organize itself to enhance and promote prevention, fire prevention. And of course, that's very important. I'd like to know, what about evacuation? And not individual homeowner preparation for evacuation, but community preparation for evacuation. So if you have a homeowners association of 250 or 500 homes, and they're in a constrained environment, limited evacuation routes, hazardous evacuation routes, what materials, what help can you provide to assist that community prepare for, at a community level, evacuation, get organized, take steps, take appropriate measures to enhance their capacity and preparation and response time for evacuation.
Well, that is absolutely an important piece of this puzzle, and it is included in the effort. So I think it goes back to making sure that we have the right people in place when we're doing these risk assessments. And then we can also, we want to involve, whenever we're talking about evacuation, we want to include the sheriff's department, because that's always the lead agency when we're talking about evacs. So making sure that we have the right people in place, but that also is a great outreach and education component, and can easily be a piece of this 3-year action plan and a goal set by each Firewise community.
So I don't mean, let me just follow up for a second. I don't mean to pressure on this, but is it possible for you to take us through the portal, show us where in the portal there's, guidance, as there is for hazard assessment, fire prevention, where there's guidance in these materials for organizing the community for evacuation? Because we're in the process of doing that right now, and I'd sure love to find those materials.
Rusty, I don't know if that's in, like the CalFire website with Ready, Set, Go. I don't know when you get to the go part or even the ready part, if CalFire has really organized the materials and kind of has it that specific. I think what you're looking for doesn't exist on the CalFire site. There might be some place that we could find materials, but I don't think the CalFire site, and I know NFPA does not have it. Not what you're asking for. It does not exist on the State Fire Marshal site.
So if I can interject real quick, my name is Shane Vargas, Battalion Chief with the Land Use Planning Program and also the State Liaison for NFPA Firewise. The NFPA Firewise recognition stuff, which is kind of what we're here to talk about, briefly addresses evacuations. It's just part of the planning and part of the cooperators that are attendants, but it's not to focus on evacuations. So your evacuation planning is going to be outside of the NFPA Firewise process. And that's going to be working with your local cooperators, with your sheriff or police departments, your local CalFire units, your local fire chiefs, and CalOES, and working through those organizations on evacuation planning. It's kind of a separate piece to this, and so it's not tied directly to NFPA. So hopefully that helps out a little bit.
Did you have anything else, Rusty? So, I mean, I think it's best, we can have a meeting with Brian Kelly from, the Office of Emergency Services in San Mateo County. And I think each county, each neighborhood potentially has very finite and case by case specificities that need to be addressed. What happens, say, in Devonshire Canyon is not the same maybe that will happen, on Skyline. And so I think we have to take that into account and use the local, the fire agencies, Office of Emergency Services to figure out, what we need to specify for each neighborhood, and each neighborhood should have its own plan, really, because each neighborhood is separate.
Yeah, I'll just make an observation. It's not a criticism. It's an observation that it seems to be a widely shared need for which some pre-planning and preparation in the form of a template, much like what has gone into the Firewise fire prevention thinking, is desperately needed. And I agree. I don't think it is available. I don't see it anywhere. And we're struggling to find that, not at an individual level. I'm not looking for the guidance about get yourself ready, get your go bag ready, get your ready, set, go plan ready. I'm talking about organizing a community of 500 residents in a constrained circumstance to make sure that notifications occur, timely notifications occur, sequencing occurs, good direction occurs, when to go, where to go, how to get out of here. Don't put more cars on the road than you need. The kinds of, and make sure you've got clear evacuation routes that are cleared and set. That's the kind of planning I'm talking about. And I'm
Yeah,
just looking
we're
for
not
help,
there
that's
yet.
all.
We're
Yeah.
not there yet, Rusty. And I think, like I said, it's CalFire, it's Office of Emergency Services, it's the local agencies. And there is one county plan, but each, fire agency, each kind of community also has responsibility to build their own plan. So I do have a couple more urban examples that I can shoot you that are very detailed, but they're related to that city, who drafted them. But you can actually see the detail, and I think that's what you're looking for. You can
Denise.
maybe use it as a template.
Denise, Brian Kelly here.
Go ahead, Brian.
Okay, through the DEM is in the midst of rolling out a training program for the Zone Haven program. There's an additional program over that the town of Portola Valley and Don Bowler with Woodside Fire Protection District have been investigating to work with that to actually do kind of sort of dynamic evacuation planning. So Zone Haven, the whole county, actually it's adopted by the entire county, and most, I'll speak for the county and other counties as well. It breaks the entire county into different zones. It's a tool that we use during the midst of an incident that requires evacuation. Law enforcement has the statutory authority and responsibility to manage the evacuations. The training is we were working on it yesterday afternoon, as a matter of fact, in terms of the preparation, utilizing a three-dimensional planning tool to work with the various law enforcement agencies, starting with their operational, the individual agencies, operational responsible folks, whoever their operation chiefs would be. It's a very significant amount of work is required to make this work properly. The danger of not having a plan that everybody in the county knows, everybody who's on the WUI for sure, intermix, and in any environment where there's dead one-way egress and access, need to understand what it means to hear a red flag day. Does red flag day mean anything to me? Does a warning, evacuation warning, what does that mean? What should I do? And then, of course, when there's an actual order, what's required of you? What do I have to do? What can I do? What should I do? So all those elements have to be, there's a big lift here. And not everybody in this county has been on board with the identifying the significant imminent risk that there is currently with a lack of this coordinated evacuation plan, which is close to being completed essentially, the training, which is a long way to go, and then the public outreach and educate, training with the law enforcement and fire service folks. If we look at wildfire as an incident, the incident commander of the wildfire is going to be the fire agencies. Fire agencies are, based on their best estimate of where the fire is going, how much time there is, what threats and hazards are at risk, are going to make a judgment as to should evacuations occur. When that decision is made, they're going to turn to law enforcement and say, you need to evacuate Zone Haven zones, blah, 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 whatever. So as part of the incident, law enforcement has to understand, and this is going to be the sergeant in the street some nights or mornings.
Hey, Denise,
Yeah.
if we have some Firewise specific questions, I'd love to kind of focus the conversation around Firewise and the process, just while we're still on the phone here.
Yeah, that's not a problem. We got a little sidetracked there. So, what we're getting out of this is that, your board should consider evacuation, and maybe part of their conversation is one of their first maybe short-term goals could be to make sure that their evacuation routes out of their neighborhood are clear and that the fuel treatments there are done. That could be low hanging fruit for a certified, Firewise community. There are other goals like, in the action plan, the education. So education could also envelop evacuation. Education could also be, some people don't understand what defensible space is. So, I mean, it gets down to, it could be very basic, it sounds like, the information that's in the action plan. I'm assuming there should be short, medium, and long-term goals in the 3-year action plan. Is that correct? Because it's really hard to do everything in a short term. Most of the stuff is long-term.
Yeah, a lot of the goals kind of start out with, education and outreach, and then, as you're moving into year 2 and 3, you're, improving home hardening, defensible space goals, things like that. So they kind of build off of each other as you move throughout the plan.
Right. Okay, we do have a couple more questions. David Cosgrave is on the line.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you, Anthony. Yeah, I'll bring it back down to what the individual can do when we talk about the Firewise. What kind of commitment do you think there is for the person that takes the lead, the citizen that takes the lead in their community? That's one question. And did you say that the upper limit was, I know 8's the minimum. Did you say that there was an upper limit to how many residents should be in it?
Yeah, we maintain a maximum of 25, well, NFPA does 2,500 homes or dwelling units.
Okay, 2,500. Okay.
Yep.
Good. I wrote down 25. I knew that wasn't right. So,
Yeah.
but so that one got out of the way quick. The other one is,
for sure.
what kind of commitment do you think that volunteer that takes on the responsibility of being your community lead would be?
Well, it definitely is not something that happens overnight, but we're kind of going back to that minimum requirement of each community member. So that all counts, all the efforts count towards your ultimate goal. And that's kind of important to keep in mind too, when you're trying to reach that 1 hour goal. A lot of these communities are having meetings anyway about maybe other things, and then this is part of the conversation. So it's kind of hard to say, exactly how much time it takes. It just depends on how organized and well prepared these kind of board members are, and we're definitely here to help make that process as fast as possible.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a couple more hands raised. Dawn, you've had your hand up for a little bit.
Okay, I'm just gonna make this real brief, and I'm gonna go back to what Rusty was saying. And you're absolutely correct, Rusty, that you aren't gonna find anything on evacuation through Firewise other than just the very simple, have your go bag ready, point your car out in the right direction, make sure there's fuel in the tank, and then know your routes to get out. That is gonna be it. Very basic, very simple. And beyond that, it's very difficult to find any information specific to any kind of evacuations. I've scoured through FEMA, and I've scoured through other sites trying to find specific instructions on how to come up with an evacuation plan. And the best that I did was 7 years ago when I came up with the template that I have currently. And so that's what we're going to have to work with as far as finding other information. I'm scouring the internet, looking at what other cities have done. And then what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to piecemeal it together as best we can for our district here in Portola Valley and Woodside, or for the fire district, and based on our local conditions and infrastructure and what we have here. And we're going to have to build it. And that's what we're in the process of doing right now for Portola Valley. And that'll extend into Woodside in the future too. And then county-wise, it's even worse, because now you're dealing with, an even bigger population base and geographical locations. And this is a county that's never had to deal ever with any kind of rapid evacuation. So there's no experience in this county whatsoever doing that. So we're individually, each one of us is going to have to build this ourselves. And just like Brian said, it's a heavy lift. They need to understand what the command structure is and the incident command system and what the fire department's role is, what the sheriff's office role is, and what are the trigger points that are going to indicate to them that we're going to be in communication, letting them know that they're going to evacuate. Because you think about a school, just a simple school, they see a big plume of smoke and everybody starts chattering and the talk happens and the panic sets in and everybody wants to know what's going on. And that's when there's, 911, how can I help you, to the tune of about 4,000 calls in 10 minutes. And that's what we're going to be dealing with. So it's a heavy lift and it's something that we're working on. It's just going to take time.
And
Yeah.
just a little bit of a comment about Firewise is just in the short amount of time I've been involved with it, just the outreach that I've seen and the communities that are being developed and the communication that's occurring within communities and, neighbors helping neighbors. And it's not a single individual effort. And I think that's the idea behind Firewise is we're coming together, realizing that this isn't one agency's, responsibility or ability, really. It's to kind of connect people and educate and provide resources and make small changes at the structure level, at the dwelling unit level. What can we do in the immediate area around homes? 0 to 5 foot is becoming very, very popular topic of discussion. Home hardening. What can we replace vents to make little improvements there? Chipper days and things like that. So this whole Firewise community is a really great program, and I just wanted to stress those little efforts and the kind of the reasoning behind it, just so we had kind of an idea there. So evac routes is very important and a huge topic, and but Firewise is really for the individual homeowner and communities to get to know each other and come together.
So Anthony, Vicky has a question. She's asking, can one expand the boundaries after you start on a small scale? So say you start with 100 homes and then you have maybe the west side of a community wants to add on, and so you want to add another 100 homes. Is that possible?
It is possible when you renew. What we like to see is kind of in the initial stages of establishing a boundary is that you have that outreach intention in mind. So realize that not everybody in this defined boundary needs to be, required to participate, but that's your goal, is to kind of have an effect on this specific area. But updates can be made when you do your renewals.
Okay. And MJ in Portola Valley has her hand up. Hi, MJ.
Yeah, hi Denise, thanks. Anthony, I was wondering what's the reasoning behind the 1 volunteer hour per house? Because the reason I ask is we have a new Firewise community, and their leader was saying that the cost of removing 1 tree would cover everyone in the community, and I thought that was kind of I don't know, maybe the wrong goal. So I was wondering, why do you guys have such a minimum goal?
I think it goes back to that whole, education and outreach. We're setting our goals, fairly low, and keeping it very attainable and achievable, but also setting some goals, in that 3-year action plan that can make a real difference. So it's all about starting somewhere, establishing that boundary, establishing that community. And we have to start somewhere. We realize that like some events, like updating some home hardening things, are going to easily take care of that, but it has to be, throughout that Firewise community as well.
So MJ, years ago when the Firewise certification first started, and Dudley might have recollection on this, there was a per capita or per property financial commitment that had to take place. So within the ranch had to spend so much money on their Firewise activities to actually be recognized and for them to be able to be certified. And I think that probably scared some neighborhoods and some applicants. And so I think Firewise probably you know, amended it a little bit and probably included the volunteer hours. So I think that's where it's morphed from. Dudley has her hand up, and maybe Dudley, you can just go back in time and remember, do you remember what that per house cost was?
Denise, I don't remember specifically, but it was very low. It might have been $1 a household, but whatever it was, we found that by the time we had mowed a strip of grass or paid to limb up trees in the association's neighborhood areas, or counted what individual homeowners had done, it didn't take us any effort to add up the amount of money. So I think you're absolutely right. It did scare some people off. The other thing I wanted to comment on is that we discovered early on that on this issue of evacuation and that part of the picture, we needed to separate our Firewise efforts, which were the fuel reduction, hardening, education side of things, from our emergency preparedness efforts, which had already existed for a long time because we sit on an earthquake fault. So we had a lot of preparation about what to do in an earthquake. And we put it to our emergency committee to look at evacuation and to put it on every household to learn for themselves what their ways out of our neighborhood was, and then to look for the neighborhood at all the possible routes out of the neighborhood and then out of town. And of course, we're in a neighborhood that had only one way out, plus a couple of emergency gates, and a town that has only two ways out. So I think it comes back to the focus on the individual homeowner to deal with learning that, and on the community to talk about practicing it with the understanding, as Anthony was pointing out, that one, it's an educational process, but two, it's a separation between what the sheriff's department does and what the fire district does. And the fire district and the Firewise process is focused on the fuel reduction and understanding fire behavior side of things, as well as now home hardening and the much greater understanding we have of how big that picture is.
Yeah, that's a good point. Really, really well said, Dudley. We have Corey on the line from Old La Honda Road, which, boy, is that a high fire risk area. Corey, go ahead with your question.
Thanks, Denise. Yes, we are in the very high fire risk area, and we've been doing a lot of our own work on a lot of these things, meeting with the fire department and doing these things. So my question to Anthony is, what are the specific benefits of formalizing the process through the Firewise USA program? If we're already doing a lot of these, I've heard rumor that there are insurance discounts that can be possible, but we've been seeing a lot of insurance carriers drop houses in our area. If we can't even get insured by those companies, the discount isn't going to matter. So are there have you seen benefits for communities that have done this?
Yeah, I mean, kind of a byproduct of this process has been, insurance, mind frames. That's not something that, we preach, but, we're really about education, learning about wildfire. People go through the process, they learn about the wildfire risks in the community. They get peace of mind. It's community building, building citizen pride. We've seen communities go as far as establishing, social media accounts and preparing videos, and there's no limit to what can be accomplished in a Firewise community, and it's just great kind of avenue to start somewhere, to start the conversation, continue the conversation, and then actually have some actions that are a result of that. So there is no bound to the benefits of the Firewise process.
Well, and I think your point about the collaboration is huge, just absolutely huge.
And
Because-
that's also something I suggest too, is if there's a Firewise community close by that's been through the process, that each Firewise community reach out to each other and help each other through the process as well. So,
Yeah, and
and
that's a-
especially if you're neighbors, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we have 3 that I know of right now. PV Ranch, and Dudley is part of PV Ranch, and she was part of that process. That was our original Firewise certification. And then I believe Hillsborough, and David's on the call, was number 2. And then number 3 is very recent, and that's Woodside Hills. So we do have, and each of those neighborhoods are really generous with their time and have offered assistance to any neighborhood or board that is forming to kind of go through the process and kind of go what works, what doesn't. And then
And we're also aware of just the sheer number of grants that are available now, because this is just such a high focus in California. And, you know, to be able to say that, you know, if I'm this fire safe council and I have this many Firewise communities within my fire safe council, or I have this road association or this Firewise community, just to say that you have Firewise recognition is pretty huge too. So,
well, and
just
what fire
another added
safe,
benefit.
yeah, and what fire safe can offer is that if you are thinking about forming a board and thinking about starting an application, fire safe, we're more than happy to help you with maybe a kickoff meeting. It could be an in-person meeting, you know, where you just start to learn about defensible space, talk about wildfire. It could be more of a, you know, a Zoom meeting with a PowerPoint about, you know, defensible space and how to prevent, you know, ignitions to your home. And then you can start the conversation, and we could invite, you know, somebody like Fire Marshal Bullard or somebody like David Weinberg for Hillsborough, just kind of talk about the benefits and what they've seen in their community since they formed it. So I'm more than happy to help participate in that manner. Also, one of the benefits, I think it's still viable, is that USAA insurance does give, I think it's a 15% discount. So if you have USAA, that 15%, hey, that's something great. Okay, we have time for just a few more questions. We have about 5 minutes, so let's see. We have, who else?
Denise, Dave Shew did end up making it on the call. If we wanted to give him a few minutes to speak.
Okay, all right. I think what we might have to do is go to our contractors and then come back to Dave. But I did have just a couple more questions. So, Patty.
Hi, maybe not a quick question, but I am part of Westridge, and we just raised our hand to start the Firewise process. So I'm sure I'll be reaching out to a lot of people on this call. I've already reached out to Don Bullard, who's going to be my primary contact. It's about 225 homes, and we already have a pretty good established emergency preparedness block captain network. So already working on a lot of things, but I did want to kind of reinforce what you talked about, the collaboration. One of the things I see in Westridge right now is a lot of people are working on their individual homes, which is absolutely great. But we have a number of areas, particularly our canyons, that are significant areas of risk. And it's going to take a lot of the homeowners banding together to work in tandem on those canyons, because it's not just one homeowner. And I'm really relying on the assessment that Dawn is going to help us put together to focus our efforts in those areas where we can get kind of some of the biggest payback. So that's actually one of the areas I'm looking for the Firewise to help us, in addition to kind of what we're already doing. So that was just a comment more than a question.
What do you think about that, Anthony? Is that for the most part hold true for other agents, you know, that
Yeah,
our
absolutely.
agencies really need to help lead?
Yeah, absolutely. And just as an added note, you know, we realize communities have a lot of improvement that is needed, but you know, this is just a beginning phase, and to set realistic goals, and then just make improvements as you go throughout the process. So, you know, it's hard to kind of not take all of that responsibility in year one, but it's all about starting that process and then making improvements as you go through the years.
Okay. All right. So we've gone through all our questions. Maybe we can, maybe we do have 5 minutes. We can have Dave chime in on what he's seen. And I mean, I think we've gone through the process pretty thoroughly. I mean, the website really is where you need to be focusing on, and then obviously using either David or yourself, Anthony, as resources, and of course your fire agency.
Yeah, I mean, we're here to help, and
yeah.
we're here to point you to the right direction.
Yeah,
and the right information. And
Hey, Denise, I had one more question for Anthony.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I got, so Anthony, I'm currently in the process right now of helping one of our communities get recognized as a Firewise community. This particular community has only 36 homes in it, okay? And so what we've got through our emergency preparedness coordinator here at Woodside is we have on our WPV Ready website, we have a Firewise section that has an assessment. They made an assessment based off of what Firewise likes to assess at the parcel level for the structure. And so the community members or the committee members for the Firewise group up there have gone ahead and issued that out to everybody to do a self-assessment on their property. So I'm getting a good assessment of the type of roof that they have, what the siding is, what the defensible space looks like around each of the properties. So that was a beginning for me. So I have that, so I can give on the template, I can give an assessment of what each of those individual parcels look like. It's at this point now where they bring me in, and my responsibility, as I understand it, is to help them do an area assessment, looking at the area surrounding. So basically from outside in, outside the community into the parcel level and the structure level, and helping them identify priority items for a 3-year plan, correct? And then just giving a written description of the general area and what exists, the topography, terrain, and then filling in the blanks on the template, right? That's basically it. Am I pretty much on track with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's understood that some of these communities, don't have that level of expertise, and so we kind of just encourage that level of expertise to kind of join them in that community risk assessment and be able to identify what things they're looking at. They may not understand what defensible space looks like or what home hardening looks like. So yeah, that's you're not wrong in what you're saying at all.
Yeah, and at the same time, as I identify those areas, also educating them on how they can correct it and make it better.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. That's all I had.
Denise, you're muted.
Thanks, Casey. So David, we only have about 5 more minutes. If you wanted to potentially just chime in on the overview process and some of maybe the sticking points that you're seeing, or any valuable advice for potential applicants.
Sure, and thanks, and I apologize to everybody. I'm actually in Boston right now at the NFPA convention, staffing the Firewise booth. So
Great.
I'm talking to people from all over the country and even the world. I've had visitors from South America, Europe, Australia. So there's people here from all over the globe talking about this problem. So we're not in this alone. And I don't want to repeat things. Anthony, did you guys pull up the website and show the website on the screen and go through the steps of becoming the Firewise community and sort of the 4 steps of planning it and doing it and so on and so forth? Perfect. So I don't want to duplicate that. A couple of things that I could just bring up to mention to everybody, because everybody's looking for additional resources. NFPA has been working very closely with IBHS, the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety. And IBHS, for anyone who isn't aware of, is the research nonprofit wing of the insurance industry, who has a large testing facility back in South Carolina. And they've been working on a new program that they're rolling out in California here in about a week and a half. That program is called Wildfire Prepared Home. And if any of you haven't heard about it, they have a website set up, and you can simply type in your browser wildfire prepared home, and it will take you to the IBH link that can show you all the steps and kind of show you a virtual house with all of the things that you can click on that they're going to recommend be done for individual homes to get a formal designation as a wildfire prepared home. So this is a new program that they're coming up with, and their very first home that they're going to identify will actually take place on June 22nd for the first home that is being recognized as a wildfire prepared home in Paradise. So that's going to be a pretty big splashy news event that IBHS is going to sponsor. NFPA is involved with it also because we've been helping them with that, coming up with those elements. It mirrors Firewise very, very closely. So it's going to be a helpful augmentation to anybody looking at additional information to go ahead and do information on Firewise. And also, of course, CalFire's DINS program, the Damage Inspection Database, has been very, very instrumental in them identifying the elements needed for, recognizing what a wildfire prepared home is. The next phase to that, after that gets rolled out in California, and keep in mind the fact that this is quite different. A wildfire prepared home program by IBHS is actually going to be a subscription service. You can actually send in a fee to actually get that designation, and insurance companies will maybe take that designation and look at that for individual property owners at meaning something different from if you're just in a Firewise community. So that's all kind of being worked out right now, recognizing the fact that in Firewise, you don't get a certificate. You're not, it's not a certification. It is just recognizing you as a community, as recognizing your problem that you have in the wildfire environment and wanting to come together as a neighborhood and work together to try to improve the resiliency of your neighborhood through individuals working on their homes and as neighbors, as Patty just pointed out, that they're all going to be working together on the hillsides and the canyons and those kind of things. That's really important. So in addition to the wildfire prepared home, IBHS is also going to be stepping into the next phase, which is going to be called a wildfire prepared community. It may be a couple of years yet before we finally see the end results of what a wildfire prepared community looks like. But there's already been some summits talking about what the elements need to exist to look at a wildfire prepared community, but that's coming down the pipe. So that's just a real brief overview. I thought I'd just add that to let everybody know about that. Again, the June 22nd is when the very first wildfire prepared home by IBHS will be rolled out in Paradise, California, and it will expand from there throughout the rest of the state. And their goal is to have that wildfire prepared home program available for every state across the country. So anyway, just thought I'd share that, let you guys know that that's another tool and another resource that we could look at that is in addition to the Firewise stuff, and just wanted to put that out there on the table. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody has anything.
Thank you so much, David. I just logged on to the IBS Wildfire Prepared Home, and it is very interactive and looks like very user-friendly. So
yes,
very clear, and I mean, it's amazing. I put it in the chat, and I suggest everybody take a look at it. And Dawn, you might love it.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's really great. Okay, well, unless there's any specific questions to David, we should probably move on to talk with some of our local contractors. So I don't think I see any raised hands. I want to thank you both, David and Anthony. Anthony, you're probably getting a few calls from San Mateo County, so which is a good thing. we want to keep you busy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
yeah, thank you very much for allowing me the time to speak to you all, and definitely a resource to reach out to, so please don't hesitate.
Yeah, and anytime there's an important update, please get in touch with me, and we'll give you a few minutes on one of our meetings.
Awesome, that sounds great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, next, the second half of our meeting is, like I said, is to kind of highlight a few of our local contractors. And so I just selected a few that I know have worked with some of y'all, and I thought it was important to just get them introduced. I wanted them to talk about kind of where they're located, what equipment they have, what their specialties are, and maybe some of the projects that they're involved in. So I believe Brush Hog is on the call. Crystal or Chris?
We are with Brush Hog Tree Care, and we provide defensible space tree services as well as underbrush and fuel mitigation services. We have a few pieces of heavy equipment. We have, as you can see kind of in the picture behind me, we have an excavator, we have an ASV forestry mulcher. We also are acquiring a green climber. We're just kind of waiting for that to come in with the shortage of everything. But we work from Half Moon Bay to La Honda. We also provide services up in Marin and Sonoma County. So we sit on those fire safe meetings as well. We do work for a lot of the people that are in this meeting. We've done contracts with RCD and the chipping program. We've done the Butte-No. We just finished Butte-No chipping. And I think Chris can talk a little bit more to what the pieces of equipment we have, what it does. Chris, you want to take over that part?
Good morning, everybody. So we got into the masticating side of the business because we believe it's going to be a lot more cost effective for the homeowners that come in with these bigger pieces of equipment to reduce the fuel. So we went into the ASB route. That was the first mulcher, and then we went in the excavator and got a mulcher head on that. And then we're starting to learn more about the green climber because a lot of the slopes are pretty steep and it's hard to get in there with these pieces of equipment that we have. So we're hoping to get that pretty soon and make better headway with that than by hand
treatment. Yeah. So we do primarily. We have a small tree crew that does the hand treatment. Our tree and brush removal crew does do poison oak removal. It's not their favorite, but they do it. And we have 8 guys. And then on our heavy equipment side, Chris operates our heavy equipment, and we have 2 other operators. We do also field mowing. So we have a couple smaller skid steers that just do field mowing and real estate site prep type of mowing. But that's kind of us in a nutshell. We are a local small business. We're family owned, and we love being able to help support the community and trying to achieve their defensible space efforts.
So Crystal, you guys do some tree removal as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
okay.
primarily focused on the defensible space requirements. So trimming stuff away from the house, raising the canopies, safety. We do also do emergency tree removal. Chris has been in the industry for 3 generations. He started climbing about 27 years ago. So he's trying to get more into the tractors side of it.
Right. Okay.
So we have 2 other climbers that do some of the smaller stuff.
Okay. So you prefer to do some of the more groundwork, but you can do tree work if you just don't like to do super large trees. It sounds like so you guys are kind of focusing.
Yeah.
And I think what Chris said is right. The mastication is so much more, efficient.
Yes, and that's kind of what we're gearing towards a little bit more, is like doing the stuff that's more cost effective and also on bigger sites, because it's really not reasonable to just give a client a day rate of thousands of dollars to have our crew come in and hand pull or hand remove everything that our masticator could do in half the time.
Right.
So we on that end of it, we kind of have the advantage to where like we can bid it both ways, but we always give them the way that is going to be the most cost efficient way to handle it. Because we do have the machines to handle that kind of work.
Well, if you can handle chipping in the butte now, you guys can probably handle the toughest of the tough. So do you want to put your contact info in the chat for everybody?
Sure, I can absolutely do that. Also, we do have a 47-foot bucket truck, which gets us to doing tree trimmings that are kind of higher up. We do a lot of palm trees because you can't really climb them without damaging them. So we do a lot of stuff with our bucket truck as well.
Okay, great. Well, and it's great, I think, where you guys are located. I mean, you know, just that time of coming over the hill, you know, going over the hill from the east side to the west side. I think you guys have an advantage. And I know you guys have been doing a lot of work for RCD and for the South Skyline Fire Safe Council. So thank you so much for just kind of highlighting and introducing yourselves.
Thank
and
you.
I encourage everybody on the west side, if you have some projects, Brush Hog could be your contractor. Okay, the next contractor I want to have just speak and summarize what they do is the Jericho project. They're probably the most unique out of all of the contractors we're going to highlight today. So Chuck Atkinson of the Jericho project is on the call. Chuck, did you want to just summarize what the Jericho project is?
It's Chuck Etchison, and good morning, everybody. Jericho is a nonprofit. We specialize in drug and alcohol treatment. We have 130 men in the program. We've been in operation since 1995. It's a unique program in the sense we don't work with any government funding. All the men in the program pay their own tuition, and part of this is paid through an internship program, and that's where we do the fire prevention work, or part of it. We've worked with Ari on several projects, and we've actually worked with Chris and Crystal from Bush Hog on a couple projects. As I said, we have 130 men, so our specialty is getting on the ground, going into those canyons and ravines, and clearing the brush. Floyd Crane, our field director. Floyd, please explain our capacity with equipment and our abilities.
Yes, sir. So we're pretty much a hand crew. We go in, we got the saws and the articulate pole hedgers and stuff. We go in where the masturbator can't get into or where the equipment can't get in, and we pull that all down and chip it. Right now I got a 12-man crew. We're working in San Bruno, like Sir said, with Ari and Gage out of San Bruno, just getting into the stuff that's real super nasty and steep. And we remove all the poison oak, we fall trees, any brush, any of that stuff, and we pull it out and chip it. That's what we do.
Yes, Denise, that's pretty much our specialty and what we do and what we have to offer.
So if we have a project and we supply the chipper, are you guys okay with utilizing the chipper?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Because Fire Safe, Woodside Fire does have a track chipper, and I think it's been utilized on some of these harder projects. I think you're actually utilizing it in the San Bruno project. Yeah, I heard you're doing great work there behind the homes. Chief DeLay said he was very happy with your services. I guess you're doing defensible space behind those homes on Crestmore Canyon, and there's no way to get any mechanical equipment in there. It's definitely hand crew work.
Yes. Floyd, would you explain your background in CDC Fire?
I've got 7 years of hand crew experience through CDC Fire. I was 5 years at Mount Home Camp and 2 years at Partner Ford Camp. I've run saws. I've been in every position there is to be on a CDC hand crew. Very experienced in equipment. I've ran every type of equipment there is, skid steers, dozers, all that. But my specialty is through removal of brush, that kind of stuff, saws and that type of things.
And running crews, and most of our men have experience in CDC Fire, so fire crews. we try to select all of our men that do have experience in the field.
Okay, great. Do you want to put your contact info, Chuck, in the chat?
Sure, yes, of course.
Okay, that would be great. All right, we have another contractor that I'm not sure how many of you know or don't know. WH Dempsey Engineering. They will work on the west side and on the east side. Great contractor, great operator. Willie, you're on the call, right? I think I saw you. You might be muted. Let's see here. You just have to unmute yourself, and then the floor is yours. Casey, do you see it? Do you see? I think it's under Veronica. I think I just asked him to unmute.
I do see Veronica. She's not muted.
Okay.
Veronica. I'll text her or do the chat thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, while we're waiting for Willie, we can go on to Bay Area Tree Specialist. So Richard Smith has been working on some of our bigger grant projects for FireSafe, and he's a very unique operation, Bay Area Tree Specialists. They have a lot of unique equipment for the really, really large trees. So Richard, you're on, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome, and tell us about Bay Area Tree Specialist and what you do and what your specialty is.
Thank you, Denise. I appreciate this opportunity. Can I share my screen with you?
Oh, yeah. So what is it? Is it under you?
It's under Bay Area Tree Specialists.
Here, let's see if we do this.
Okay.
Yeah, click on that one.
Okay.
He's a co-host. You should be able to.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Okay, here we go. Okay, can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Perfect.
Let's hold on.
Okay. Let me get this started here. Okay. So just going to go through the screen. It's got some talking points here, but I'm Richard Smith with Bay Area Tree Specialists, and we're a local company out of San Jose, California. But we travel. Obviously, we like to work in the counties closest to us, but that doesn't stop us from going out to like Sonoma. We currently have crews in Marin, and doing some fuel reduction for Marin. And we've worked with a number of the local fire safety councils, and so we've kind of grown into this fuels reduction aspect of tree service forestry in the last 5 years. And we have a combination of equipment and hand crews to handle any kinds of different diverse and complex, large or small contracts or projects. Here's pictures of us crews hand pulling in Marin, and so we're familiar with the weed pulling processes. We have several different pieces of equipment for forestry thinning, for fuels reduction, primarily in the eucalyptus stands. We can apply herbicides, mulch, masticate. We have the capacity for XL tree removals. And this is some pictures of masticating. We have multiple different masticating equipment, excavator shown here, currently working for Project RDC out at Quarry Park. And so this is actually a picture from yesterday. And so, you know, more equipment of larger tree removals, crane assisted fuel reduction project up on a hill in a community out in Pacifica, coming along nicely. This is our log deck we did for a fuel reduction for UC Berkeley a year ago. A substantial number of trees to be removed to create a fire break along 100 foot of some canyon roads. Some more projects. We work, you know, from fire safe up to city and county and state projects. So, I'll show you a little quick video of work out in El Granada last fall. Let's go ahead and start this. Where we did a combination of thinning out the eucalyptus below Quarry Park in the neighborhood, and as well as pruning of this eucalyptus. They have a unique stand of eucalyptus going through the community. And so we did some comprehensive thinning, removals, and pruning to make these trees safer. So pretty much in a nutshell, that's what we do. And we've got quite a comprehensive team these days of safety coordinator, you know, equipment coordinators. So I'm pretty proud of the team that we have and the communication that we have. So, yeah, any questions?
Do you want to play this link, Richard?
Oh, I have it playing on my end. Can you see
Oh,
it?
yeah, no, it won't play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
I've been sitting here watching it, talking through it.
No, we can't see it. I'm not sure.
Let's see. We got to share this independently, I think.
Oh, okay, here, let's see.
New share. How about now, Denise?
Not yet.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a drone footage of the work in progress in El Granada. They've got you know, I'd say a couple thousand trees going down a couple different meridians through the center of El Granada. And so we worked in tandem with the county arborists in thinning out the trees, substantial removals, as well as crown reduction on these 140-foot eucalyptus trees. And so I wished I could share the video. It was pretty neat.
Well, it was kind of playing at the end there.
see.
Do you want to start it one more time?
Or paste the URL in the chat, maybe.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Or you can send it to me and I can send it out on the IO group, right, Casey?
Yeah.
Yeah, just send me the link and I can send it out on the IO group.
Great.
Oh,
That sounds
Did
good.
you want to paste or enter your contact info in the chat?
I will try. I will do that after I
All right,
exit out.
in this video, I'm going to show you a really easy way to root plants and start new plants from softwood cuttings or semi-softwood cuttings. Now, on my website, freeplants.com, I've got a
There we go. Sorry about that.
All right. Yeah, make sure you put your info in the chat so people know how to get a hold of you. I think for sure that Bay Area tree specialist can probably handle with the crane equipment that you have, probably the biggest capacity diameter type trees. I know you guys have worked for Caltrans and you've done some work for Fire Safe, and you've handled some, I mean, giant trees. So you're very unique on the peninsula in that you do have that capability more than some of our other contractors. So And you're local, you're in San Jose, so
Exactly.
that's great. Okay, so the last contractor that we wanted to highlight today is WH Dempsey Engineering. Willie Dempsey. Willie does work both on the west side of Skyline and on the east side. He also has a bunch of equipment. So Willie, are you there? You are.
Yeah, wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, let me share the screen.
Oh, let me see. Let me make you a co-host. Okay, go ahead.
Hello. My name is Willie Dempsey. I'm the third generation in the area. My grandfather started hanging out quarry in the 50s. And shoveling, operating tractors, and working for my family on septics, excavation, and mowing, and working at a rock quarry. In 2012, I obtained my A license and started working towards my ultimate goal. Passion of what I made and learned to do fire mitigation. My wife, Veronica, and I have worked 7 days a week and saved every penny to start buying equipment to pursue our goals. Now we got 5 employees and we'll work together. Some of my equipment, I have a TD 2150 excavator, a 35,000 pound machine. We use this in steep hillside mastication of brush and trees. 26-foot reach, works well for working on roadways. Another excavator I own is a TD 175, the 18,000 pound machine. Works good on steep hillside mowing, brush mowing, and along roadways. Kind of fits in tighter areas. Another tractor we own is a 299 XHD foresting model. Use that to grind brush and logs and low grass. Another piece of equipment we use a lot is a ag tractor, 120 horsepower. We do all the grass mowing and brush mowing with that. We got a 9-foot woods mower, 12.5-foot batwing. The batwing works for getting big areas, kind of follows the contour. Second year growth and everything. It saves a lot of time. We always, have a Kestrel meter on site, checking out the relative humidity, temperature, wind speed, and water on site, as well as fire extinguishers, ABC, water, plenty of the plows and rakes and shovels. There's some of my contact info. Yeah, I enjoy doing this type of work and working with anybody.
So Willie, do you want to talk about some of your most recent projects? For the most part, you do masticating, you do mowing. You're not really into tree removal, but your masticator will take down some small trees.
Yeah, we do a lot of we do tree removal, but it's mostly stuff with the excavator where we can take it out. We do a lot of work with Stanford, a lot of grass mowing. We've had some 30-40 acre projects lately. The one that's on the screen now is one by the bed barn. We did a bunch of ladder fuel and brush removal. Small tree removal. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, we couldn't see your video, but I can send out some pictures later on. Do you want to put your contact information in the chat?
Yeah.
Just, your.
Does that not come up right there?
No, it didn't. It didn't come up. You have to hit share screen. It's something green at the bottom. So share screen with a green arrow.
That's gone now.
Well, I can put, if you have a little video or if you have some slides, I can send it out on the IO group.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why that PowerPoint didn't come up. I think I just shared screen. So.
But you can put your contact info in the chat, right? Like your phone number or your email address.
Yeah, let me try. Share. There we go. Does that come up now?
Oh, yeah, it came up now. So why don't you just go through your slides? We only have a few minutes, but just kind of click through your slides so people can see.
Okay, so yeah, there's my 35,000 pound excavator. A couple of things we added a thumb onto that head, that AE head, so we can grab stuff and move stuff around, and safer areas to run. There's my 18,000 pound excavator. See what there's both sides. There's my skid steer. Sciatic tractor with a rat wing rolling here.
Okay, great. I'll put it in the chat for you also.
Thank you very much.
Okay, does anybody have any question for any of the contractors that we highlighted?
Actually, I had a quick question. How is staffing holding up for you guys? Meaning it's nice to see all this equipment, but you still need people, and people are hard to find.
We're hiring. We're actually doing, we did the Half Moon Bay High School job fair about a month ago. So we got a lot of interest for summer jobs for some ground crew. And then we are doing something this weekend on Saturday where we are inviting people to come to the Half Moon Bay Chamber of Commerce at 1 o'clock to meet some of our crew and myself and Chris and kind of apply for jobs on the spot. And we're looking for Class A or B drivers, which are very hard to come by. But yeah, it's been okay, but difficult at the same time.
Yeah, for us, as I said, we're set up for 130 men. Our numbers are down. We're actually at about 100, so we're 30 men under what our normal capacity is due to the COVID. But we're ramping back up, and we will be up to 130 within the next couple months. So we have our staffing is, due to the nature of what we do, our staffing situation is quite well compared to the usual situation that everybody's dealing with.
Yeah, I just lost 2/3 of some subcontractors on something I'm doing, and to the COVID, and I was like, holy cow. So when I hear, I'm sure everybody that's using hand crews has the same problem.
Yes. And ours, as I said, ours is a unique situation. And so we look forward to working with everybody and providing the labor that we can in all situations with Chris and Christy and the Crystal and with Bush Hog, some of these other companies that we're familiar with, to work in cooperation to get this going, get it done.
Okay, are there any hands up, Casey?
No,
Okay.
everyone's hypnotized.
Yeah, some of those pictures there are some big equipment, and like Crystal and Chris were saying, that the mastication is really a super efficient way if you have a big enough property that is suitable with the percentage of slope. In my experience, you have to be careful anytime you get around the 25 to 30% slope. Then you need to have something like Jericho project crew out there. It's just not safe for some of that bigger equipment. I think, Willie has that excavator with that big arm reach, and it can reach quite a ways. And so you can either get up the hill or down the hill where you have an advantage. So,
yeah, we're also trying to invest in the green climber for the same reason, so we can get on steeper slope properties. We tried out the LV600, which gets up to 60% slope, and it's pretty efficient. It handles some up to, I think, 4 to 6 inches in diameter underbrush. And it's just crazy about how much work it can produce in such a short amount of time. And it doesn't require a whole lot of access. Like even our excavator is sometimes access is limited on a lot of properties. So the green climbers kind of, we got sold on that also.
Yeah, the green climbers can go at a much steeper slope. Okay, well, thank you all the contractors who took their time today to kind of explain what they do and what equipment they have and kind of where they located. We appreciate it, and we hope some of our members will be calling you for some quotes. And I've worked with all of you except Jericho Project, but Jericho Project comes highly recommended from Chief DeLay of San Bruno. So we got 4 great contractors to choose from, and I'm sure there's lots of projects out there that our members have for you for potential work. So we appreciate that. Okay, well, we're getting to the end of our meeting. I'm not sure if there's any announcement or discussions that benefit the group that anybody would like to take this time to present.
Hey, Denise, this is Craig Beckman with Mid-Peninsula Open Space. Just
Hi,
to
Craig.
go through, speaking of hiring, we are preparing to hire another field resource specialist to work out of our Cupertino office to manage fuel reduction projects for us. So the equivalent of Christian Bonner, who's working with me. I'll post that job announcement out into your, I guess I'll put it in the chat here. Maybe I'll just email it to you. It can go out on the IO email maybe. But yep, we're hiring more people. Hope to grab a good candidate.
Well, good. Hopefully that means you guys want to do a lot of work. So good for you guys.
We're still getting grants. We're still lining up more work. So yeah, we're expanding along with everybody else.
Yeah,
Okay,
along those lines, this is Dan Dempsey with the fire mitigation program for Woodside Fire. We're also looking to hire a mitigation specialist. So if anyone knows anyone, you can contact Denise and she can let me know.
Yeah, anybody, any of these contractors out there who are looking for, help or anything like that, if you send me an email, maybe what I can do is I can combine it into one kind of resource page and then send it out on the IO group. So, with your contact information to make it easy, kind of one-stop shop. And if any of our members know of anybody, they can send it out, and all your contact information will be on that. So I'm more than happy to do that. And the IO group is also available for any of our members to post. So feel free. All right. Well, Casey, Sheena, did you have some?
Yeah, I have several announcements. I wanted to share some recent funding awards that the RCD received just last week. One is from the California Fire Safe Council grant. So that's $103,000. That's going to go for chipping, which is very exciting. So we're going to be able to continue our neighborhood chipping program that the RCD and the Fire Safe Council do together. We also received another fund for wildfire resiliency, general wildfire resiliency capacity building and project development. It's through the CalFire Wildfire Resiliency Grant and through our California Association of Resource Conservation Districts, and it's $326,000, and it's a little bit will be able to go to chipping, and some of it's actually going to go to project development, and that's actually a really excellent pool of funding because then we can actually get projects shovel ready, and other agencies are more likely to fund something that's already shovel ready with all the environmental compliance and permitting to go. So that's also like it's a really nice funding source. And then lastly, the biggest one is a $2.7 million from CalFire Fire Prevention Grant. That's to build a 19-mile field break around the town of La Honda. We are very excited about that. I'm seeing that in the chat right now as well. That's going to be amazing. That's about 20 landowners, that's private and public landowners that are going to be participating in it. Our CalFire unit, CZU unit, developed and envisioned this field break that's going to be surrounding the community. And so RCD will be the project managers to get that planned, permitted, and implemented over the next 3 years. And that will be starting in earnest a little bit this fall and in earnest next year. That one we are very, very excited about. And then the last announcement I have is that I'll actually be taking off my RCD hat. I'm leaving my role at the RCD. I'm going to be joining Jasper Ridge at Stanford as a staff scientist. So I'll still be doing some field reduction work, still be working with the community. I'll still be able to keep my Fire Safe Council board member hat, and I'll still be working with all of you. So in that case, it's not a goodbye. I'll just be changing my hats around a little bit. And then because we've been talking about job opportunities and openings, the replacement, the job opening that would be my replacement is open and announced. And if anybody has any questions, please contact me. I really want to make sure we get a good person in. We have a lot of big projects coming up and a lot of good work. I'm really proud of the program that the RCD has. And I'd love to have a great person to fit in to the role.
Okay, well, thanks, Gina, and we wish you a lot of luck with Jasper Ridge. Jasper Ridge has been a big partner of FireSafe for many, many, many years. And so hopefully you'll get some grants for Stanford and do some field mitigation over there as well. I know Chief Bullard and the Woodside Fire Protection District will appreciate that, and so will Jasper Ridge. So, and look, you already met Willie Dempsey. He's contractor, has done a lot of work in Jasper Ridge, actually. So he knows all about it. He can show you around.
Sounds great to me.
So, okay, well, it's 11:17, and unless anybody has anything that they want to mention, then we'll close our meeting, and our next meeting is July 13th. So thank you, everyone, and we will see you July 13th.